Flacco didn't just lose that game. He lost the fan base. He lost the locker room. And maybe, just maybe, he lost his last shred of credibility as the Browns' supposed answer at quarterback. Think about how we got here. Cleveland has been dangling Sheduer Sanders in front of fans like a carrot for months. The hype was real. The talent was undeniable. The practices were electric. Every report out of camp was the same. This kid has it.
If you're into the real story and all the messy twists they don't show on highlight reels, go ahead and subscribe. And if you're sticking around to see how this Browns QB chaos plays out, you should definitely be subscribed.
The poise, the accuracy, the leadership, it was all there. And yet, week after week, Kevin Stefanski kept him on the sidelines, muttering phrases like development timeline and patience, while rolling out Flacco like it was 2012 again. And for what? For this? For a game where Flacco looked every bit his age, fumbling away drives, tossing picks like party favors, and shrinking under pressure? That's not veteran leadership. That's negligence. That's clinging to the past while the future sits on your bench, waiting for a chance to change everything. The irony is painful. Sheduer Sanders represented hope, energy, possibility. And instead of embracing that, the Browns doubled down on stability. Except stability doesn't look like 3 turnovers in a must-win game. Stability doesn't look like a fan base chanting for the rookie, while the veteran can't hold onto the ball. Stability doesn't look like Sheduer's jersey sales climbing, while Flacco's reputation nosedives. This wasn't just a bad game, it was karma. Karma for ignoring the obvious. Karma for disrespecting the fans who've been screaming for Sheduer. Karma for burying your most talented quarterback under layers of excuses and fear. And when Flacco coughed up that fumble, the message was loud and clear. You can't run from the future forever. But here's the thing. This isn't just about Flacco. This is about the Browns' philosophy. About a franchise so terrified of risk, so addicted to the illusion of safe decisions, that they'd rather watch a veteran unravel than hand the reins to the one player who could actually spark something. And the fans know it. That's why they're furious. That's why they're filling timelines and talk shows with demands for Sheduer. That's why the entire city of Cleveland feels like it's ready to explode. Let's talk about the locker room, too, because don't think for a second players didn't notice. Guys aren't stupid. They know who the best quarterback in practice has been. They've seen Sheduer's throws. They've felt his energy in the huddle. And they've watched Stefanski ignore all of it in favor of experience. That kind of stubbornness kills trust. When your coach is the only one pretending the emperor has clothes, eventually the whole locker room stops believing in him. And Dillon Gabriel? He's caught in the middle of this mess. A young quarterback himself, flashing some potential, trying to carve out his place. But the writing's on the wall. He's not the chosen one. He's not the one fans are chanting for. Sheduer is. Gabriel might be part of the story, but Sheduer is the story. And Flacco? He's the punchline. The media's having a field day with it, too. Highlight reels of Flacco's fumble looped on repeat. Analysts calling the Browns cowards for benching their rookie phenom. Talk show hosts asking if Stefanski has lost his mind, or worse, lost his team. This isn't just Cleveland drama anymore. It's league-wide embarrassment. The Browns aren't being criticized for losing. They're being roasted for how they're losing. And the comparisons are already flying. How many times have we seen this? The veteran placeholder who stumbles, the rookie sitting impatiently on the bench, the fan base foaming at the mouth for change. It happened with Kurt Warner and Eli Manning. It happened with Drew Bledsoe and Tom Brady. The difference is, those coaches eventually made the switch. They recognized the moment. They leaned into destiny. Stefanski? He's fighting against it. And in the process, he's burning his own house down. Sheduer Sanders is not some project. He's not some developmental gamble. He's the guy. The fact that everyone can see it except the head coach is why Cleveland's season is unraveling in real time. The Ravens didn't just beat the Browns. They exposed them. They exposed the disconnect between talent and opportunity, between what the fans want and what the coaches are clinging to, between the future Cleveland could have and the disaster they're choosing instead. And let's not pretend this doesn't sting extra hard for the fans. Browns fans are some of the most loyal in football. They've sat through misery, mediocrity, heartbreak. They've swallowed every excuse, bought into every promise. But even loyalty has limits. Watching Joe Flacco trip over himself, while Sheduer Sanders sits untouched on the sideline, that's not just disappointing, it's insulting. It's telling your fans that their hope doesn't matter, that their future doesn't matter, that the franchise is too stubborn to do what's right. The fumble was more than a mistake, it was symbolism. A physical manifestation of everything wrong with this team. A reminder that the Browns can't hold onto anything good for long. A reminder that karma always comes around. And when you ignore talent, when you bury potential, when you disrespect the game itself, you pay the price. And now the Browns have a choice. They can keep digging this hole, keep rolling out Flacco, keep insulting their fans, and watch their season collapse entirely. Or they can embrace what's been obvious all along. It's Sheduer's time. Not tomorrow. Not next year. Now. Because the fans won't wait. The media won't wait. The locker room won't wait. And Sheduer Sanders? He's not waiting either. So what do you think? Is it finally time for the Browns to rip off the Band-Aid and hand the keys to Sheduer Sanders? Should Flacco ever see another snap in a Cleveland uniform? Or has karma already spoken loud enough? And most importantly, can Stefanski survive this disaster? Or has he coached himself right out of Cleveland? Drop your thoughts in the comments, because this saga is only getting uglier. And if you want every twist, every meltdown, every explosive moment in the Sheduer Sanders saga, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Because the Browns may be fumbling, but this story is just heating up. This was instant karma for snubbing Sheduer Sanders. The kid with the golden arm, the swagger, the future written all over him. He's been standing on the sideline like a ghost haunting Kevin Stefanski's headset. And instead of unleashing him, Stefanski stuck with Flacco. Stuck with experience. Stuck with stability. And in the blink of an eye, Baltimore turned that decision into a punchline. Let's set the stage. It's Ravens-Browns, one of the fiercest rivalries in football. Playoff implications on the line, the fan base rabid for a spark. All week, Cleveland radio was ablaze with one question. Is this finally Sheduer's moment? And all week, Stefanski dodged, deflected, and doubled down on his faith in Flacco. He told us it was about leadership. He told us it was about knowing the system. He told us Sheduer wasn't ready. And then Flacco walked into M&T Bank Stadium and proved every one of those excuses hollow. Interceptions thrown into double coverage like he'd forgotten how to read defenses. Drives stalled by hesitation. A pocket presence that looked less like veteran composure and more like someone waiting for the walls to collapse. And then the fumble. That moment when the ball slipped out, when the Ravens pounced, when the scoreboard tilted into humiliation. That was the football universe cashing in its receipt. Instant karma. Not because fumbles are rare, but because this one symbolized everything wrong with the Browns. A refusal to embrace the future. A fear of risk. A belief that playing it safe is somehow safer than unleashing your most talented player. That fumble wasn't just a turnover, it was a message. And the fans heard it loud and clear. Cleveland fans are used to heartbreak, but this was different. This wasn't bad luck. This wasn't the other team being better. This was self-inflicted. This was sabotage. As Flacco jogged off the field, boos rained down, not at the Ravens, but at their own sideline. Chants for Sheduer erupted. Fans waved homemade signs. Social media lit up within seconds. Play Sanders. Enough of this. Fire Stefanski. And it wasn't just noise. This was a movement. You could feel it spreading across the league. Analysts on national shows pointed to the box score, then pointed to the bench. How do you justify leaving Sanders on the sideline when your veteran is imploding? How do you explain turning away from the one guy who gives your team hope? Because make no mistake, Sheduer Sanders is hope. He's not some long-term project. He's not a maybe one-day prospect. He's the here and now. The way he commands practices, the way his teammates light up around him, the way the city rallies every time his name trends, that's not hype. That's destiny. The Browns tried to bury that destiny. They tried to stall it. They thought they could buy time with Flacco. But destiny doesn't wait. Destiny punishes hesitation. Destiny shows up in the form of a fumble on the road against Baltimore. Let's talk about the locker room, because that's where this story gets even uglier. Players may not go public, but behind closed doors, they know who the best quarterback is. They know when a coach is lying to himself. They know when the guy under center is holding them back. And you better believe that when Flacco dropped that ball, there were heads shaking on the sideline. Guys who've been sweating it out all season, sacrificing their bodies, now watching their playoff hopes vanish because the coach refused to play the rookie everyone believes in. That's how you lose a team. Not in one game, but in one decision too many. And what about Dillon Gabriel, caught between eras? He's the bridge quarterback, the guy with flashes of talent, trying to make his case. But right now it doesn't matter, because Sheduer's shadow looms too large. Gabriel might have moments, but the fans don't chant his name. The city doesn't wear his jersey. The future doesn't belong to him. Sheduer is the sun, and everyone else is orbiting. The humiliation for Stefanski is complete. He bet his reputation on Flacco. He told the world this was the guy who could steady the ship. And instead, Flacco drove it straight into the iceberg. Now Stefanski looks like a coach clinging to an expired idea. A man so afraid of the future, he sabotaged the present. The Ravens didn't just expose Flacco. They exposed Stefanski. But the real twist? They also elevated Sheduer without him throwing a single pass. Every mistake Flacco made was another commercial for Sanders. Every turnover was another highlight for the rookie's resume. Every fumble, every interception, every blown opportunity screamed the same truth. Sheduer's time is now. The NFL is watching closely. Because this isn't just a Browns problem, it's a league problem. The league thrives on stars, on excitement, on the players who make casual fans tune in and make diehard fans believe. Sheduer Sanders is that kind of star. His benching doesn't just hurt Cleveland, it hurts the league. And the ratings, the ticket sales, the fan outrage all prove it. The NFL cannot afford for Cleveland to fumble the future. The karma is undeniable. Joe Flacco's collapse was the universe saying enough is enough. You can't hide Sheduer forever. You can't pretend the fans don't matter. You can't keep playing scared while the most electrifying young quarterback in the league collects dust on the sideline. So now the Browns are at a crossroads. They can admit their mistake, bench Flacco, and hand the keys to Sheduer, igniting the franchise and the fan base in one bold move. Or they can keep pretending, keep fumbling, and keep spiraling deeper into irrelevance. The choice isn't just about one game. It's about the future of the franchise. But let's be honest. The choice has already been made. Not by Stefanski. Not by the front office. By the fans. By the locker room. By karma itself. Because the second that ball slipped out of Flacco's hands, the torch was passed. It doesn't matter if Stefanski acknowledges it today, tomorrow, or next month. The Browns belong to Sheduer Sanders now. The only question is how many more games Cleveland will waste before admitting it. That fumble against Baltimore wasn't just a mistake, it was divine irony. Joe Flacco, the veteran Stefanski, clung to like a security blanket, coughing up the ball in the most humiliating way possible. The Ravens pounced, the crowd erupted, and in that instant, the narrative flipped. The Browns weren't just losing to their rival, they were losing to themselves. Losing to their own stubbornness. Losing to their refusal to give Sheduer Sanders the chance he's earned 100 times over. Let's talk about karma. Because karma in football is as real as the hash marks on the field. You don't snub destiny without paying for it. You don't bury your future and expect the past to carry you. Karma is unforgiving. And in Cleveland's case, it came wearing purple and black, delivering a 41-point reminder that you can't play scared in this league. And make no mistake, this is fear. Fear of letting go of the veteran. Fear of trusting the rookie. Fear of the unknown. That's what Stefanski and the Browns are operating on. But what's the irony? The unknown isn't scary, it's Sheduer Sanders. And he's the only thing in Cleveland that doesn't look like fear. He looks like confidence. He looks like poise. He looks like the thing the fans have been begging for, screaming for, living for. Instead, they got Flacco. And they got karma. The fans knew it immediately. The second the ball hit the turf, the chant started. Sheduer. Sheduer. You could hear it even through the broadcast. This wasn't polite disagreement anymore. This was rebellion. Fans holding up signs. Fans blowing up social media. Fans openly questioning whether they should keep supporting a franchise that treats their hope like an afterthought. Browns Nation has been through everything. But this felt like betrayal. Not because they lost, but because they lost without even trying to win the right way. And the locker room? Oh, you better believe eyes were rolling. Players know. They always know. They see who makes the throws in practice. They see who commands the huddle. They see the spark. And they also see the coach ignoring all of it. That's how trust evaporates. That's how Stefanski loses his team. Not with one loss, but with one decision too many that tells the players, I don't care what you see, I know better. Except he doesn't. And everyone knows it. Flacco wasn't just bad. He was a liability. Interceptions that looked like rookie mistakes, hesitation that killed drives, fumbles that ended games. This wasn't veteran stability, it was veteran collapse. And the worst part? It was predictable. Everyone saw it coming except the people making the decisions. That's why this feels like karma. Because the Browns didn't just gamble and lose. They gambled against themselves. And the universe made sure they got punished for it. Meanwhile, Sheduer Sanders is standing there on the sideline, helmet in hand, watching it all unfold. Do you know how insane that looks? The future of your franchise, the kid who electrifies fans just by walking onto the field, the quarterback who represents hope in a city that desperately needs it. Relegated to watching Joe Flacco stumble around like a man playing in the wrong decade. That's not just mismanagement, it's malpractice. And let's not forget Dylan Gabriel. He's not Sheduer, but he's another young quarterback with upside. Another option that at least represents progress. But he's stuck in the same purgatory, pushed aside so Stefanski can cling to experience. What message does that send to your young guys? What message does that send to your locker room? That no matter how hard you work, no matter how much talent you show, you'll never play unless you're part of the coach's comfort zone? That kills morale. That kills culture. The irony of all this is that the Browns could have flipped the script. They could have unleashed Sheduer, ignited the fan base, and turned this game into a statement. Even in a loss, they would have gained respect, momentum, and belief. Instead, they chose fear. And fear doesn't win football games. Fear fumbles them away. The media is tearing them apart too. Every highlight show is running that Flacco fumble on loop, cutting it next to Sheduer highlights from college, as if to taunt Stefanski with the obvious. Analysts are roasting the Browns for being the only franchise that could fumble away hope this spectacularly. Even former players are chiming in, saying what everyone knows, but nobody in Berea wants to admit. Sheduer Sanders is the answer, and you're wasting him. And that's the part that stings the most. Because this isn't about development anymore. It's not about waiting for the right moment. It's not about patience. The moment is here. The fans are ready. The team is ready. Sheduer is ready. The only people who aren't ready are the ones too scared to make the decision. But karma doesn't wait. Karma punishes hesitation. And now the Browns are living in it. So what happens next? That's the million-dollar question. Do they bench Flacco and hand Sheduer the keys, finally admitting what everyone else already knows? Or do they double down, keep pretending this is about experience, and watch their season slip completely through their fingers? Either way, the damage is done. Flacco's fumble wasn't just a turnover. It was the passing of the torch. The fans passed it. The locker room passed it. Karma passed it. Now the Browns just have to admit it. Because let's be honest, the Browns don't belong to Joe Flacco. They don't belong to Kevin Stefanski. They don't even belong to Jimmy Haslam. They belong to Sheduer Sanders. He's the hope. He's the future. And whether they want to admit it or not, the franchise is already his. The Ravens didn't just beat Cleveland, they revealed them. They showed the world a team too scared to play its best hand. And in doing so, they made it impossible to ignore the truth. Sheduer Sanders isn't waiting anymore. He doesn't have to. The city's already with him. The league's already watching him. The fans already believe in him. Instant karma hit the Browns the second Joe Flacco dropped that ball. And until that fumble was poetic justice. It wasn't just a turnover, it was a prophecy fulfilled. All season long, everyone's been warning the Browns that Flacco was a disaster waiting to happen. And what did they get? Exactly what was predicted. A ball rolling helplessly across the turf, while Ravens defenders swarmed like sharks in bloodied water. It was the kind of mistake that doesn't just cost you a game, it costs you credibility. And credibility is the one thing Stefanski can't afford to lose. Because let's be honest, the fan base is done. They've been patient. They've been loyal. They've watched failure pile on top of failure and still shown up, still cheered, still believed. But this? Watching Flacco fumble their season away while Sheduer Sanders holds a helmet on the sideline? That was the insult that broke the patience. You could feel it in the chants. You could hear it in the boos. You can see it now in the calls for Stefanski's job. This is bigger than football now. This is about trust. The Browns told their fans, trust the process. But the process gave them Joe Flacco on his back, while the Ravens danced in the end zone. The process gave them turnovers, excuses, and humiliation. The process robbed them of the only thing they wanted. Sheduer Sanders under center. And karma? Karma doesn't just punish. Karma makes examples. That fumble is going to live in highlight reels, not because it was technically spectacular, but because it perfectly symbolizes the Browns' self-destruction. Every time it's replayed, every time the ball hits the turf, the message will be the same. This is what happens when you ignore destiny. So here we are. Cleveland has a choice, but really, it's no choice at all. Keep Flacco, keep stumbling, keep bleeding fans and credibility, or unleash Sheduer Sanders and finally give this city what it's begging for. The future isn't tomorrow. The future isn't next season. The future is standing on your sideline right now. And until the Browns accept that, instant karma will keep showing up week after week, one humiliating fumble at a time. What do you think? Was that the last snap Joe Flacco should ever take in a Browns uniform? Or will Stefanski dig in deeper and drag this team down with him? Drop your thoughts in the comments and make sure to subscribe. Because if Cleveland doesn't wake up soon, this saga is about to get even uglier.